All right, that's a scene from the movie Kingpin with Woody Harrelson, taking a bit of a comedic look at Amish life. But the story I'm about to tell you involves the Amish, but it's not comedic at all. The Ontario Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Animals raided a series of Amish farms in southwestern Ontario this week. Ian Cumming is a writer for Ontario Farmer, joins us now because, Ian, you've got the scoop on this, and it doesn't look very good for the OSPCA, does it?
No, last Monday they went in to 16 farms simultaneously with 45 different agents or inspectors from across the province with OPP protection.
You don't when you hear Amish, you don't expect to hear raid and police protection. Did they have a grow-up going on? Were they doing contraband marijuana production? Why were they raided?
I think they were raising pups in a lot of series of different things. And if you go online in Toronto, there's a councillor in Toronto who's introduced a motion to close down shops in Toronto from selling pups, and they have "Get the Amish" as kind of their motto.
Really?
So whether that where it started, I don't know. But
are they puppy mills that they're running with dogs stacked in crates? Because I have seen puppy mills that are quite deplorable, but well, from your description to me, that doesn't sound like it.
The OSPCA never seized any animals, and they never laid any charges, but they initiated orders. And when you initiate orders, then you can go back on those farms as much as you want, when you want. You can make them do what you want without a warrant and at any time. And so what they have gone, if they've crossed that line from animal cruelty to if an animal is in distress or not. And the Amish will look after those animals because that's how they make money. There's nobody in our society more connected with animals than the Amish. Their little children learn how to hook up a horse because they can't get down the road without one. They learn how to shoot a rifle. They learn how to do those things that our grandparents knew how to do. But they are totally intertwined with animals. But every animal an Amish has to make them money. Yeah. And so they would raise these dogs well. And if you look at the video footage of CTV on the one farm they were at, that dog was fat and rolling that was walking around in the yard. It was a perfectly friendly farm dog.
Well, we've got a quote from the article that you wrote. I don't know if this was Ontario Farmer or Farmers Forum, but one of the publications you're in, on what they found. So this is Cindy Moyer, Huron-Perth Landowners Association president, that said they found a dog with an ear infection, a puppy born the night before that was cold, lying away from its mother, and tartar plaque on the teeth of a dog. That's the worst that they found?
That's what they found on that place. And they went in with a motor.
Tartar on the teeth. Unbelievable. I mean, you must be abusing a dog if a dog has tartar.
But this is what they've done since 2009 across rural Ontario. It's the untold story. When they've changed the legislation from animal cruelty to an animal in distress, then they have taken people to micromanage their animals and how they do things in farms.
And you mentioned something that caught my ear because it's something we've talked about with Bill C-30, this internet snooping bill that's been introduced. It's something we've talked about with the gun registry. They can now go in without warrant. And the SPCA, the Ontario Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, is not a government agency. It's a private charitable group.
Yes.
But they can get warrants. They can go in without warrants. They can go in with police protection because of the way the law is written now.
That's right. That's right.
What are some of the horror stories you've heard from farmers and rural dwellers in and around Ontario on this?
There's a couple just outside of Ottawa here who's one of the smallest dairy herds in the country. They milk cows since 1909. Beautiful, great old couple. They had some older cows. And what these non-farming inspectors didn't realize that the body condition score and ideal would be like, say, like 25-year-old son, the way he would look. And they would saw an older cow, and you can compare that to an 89-year-old dad. And these people just kept some older cows around and maybe weren't as efficient as they should have been. And they said, oh, that body score is too low. Those people at the moment are facing fines of $720,000 and 24 years in jail.
For not sending an older cow off to slaughter?
No, because
if they send it off to slaughter, they wouldn't face anything.
It's considered in distress. In Quebec, for comparison, it's $2,000 for an animal in distress. But Dalton McGuinty took us from $2,000 to $60,000 per animal in distress. And also 2 years in jail on top of that. There is nowhere in the continent, he was totally honest when he said it, we have the best things for animals anywhere in the continent. Yeah. And they are going around to farms, and you hear, and most people give in. They go to 1,400 farms a year. And in Quebec, you would have a hard time if they went to 14 a year.
Where do you draw the line, though, between saying, okay, we've got to leave these rural folks alone, these farmers alone? You're going to find people that are cruel to animals in rural areas, and you are going to find puppy mills. So, which, if you've ever been in the really nasty ones where as soon as a dog is done with one litter, they're mating it with sometimes its kin to produce more puppies, and they're just stacked on top of each other. They're not looked after. See, you know, everyone wants that sort of thing done away with. You want real animal cruelty done away with. Where's the line in there?
Well, it's when they've switched. Prior to 2009, I don't think it was ideal, but there had to be animal cruelty, and you had to have some. And veterinarians have even walked away from this because they are asked to determine whether an animal is in distress or not, and with that definition totally for the inspector to make. And when they don't know farms and they don't know people and they don't know how they work. But I mean, where I farm in northern New York, we have 45 old order Amish families around us, and they work their animals. They use their animals to make money, but they do not abuse their animals.
And I wouldn't think so in southwestern Ontario either.
But in their mindset, a dog is a dog, you know, and they're not going to walk their dog or go to Walmart and buy it food or do that type of thing, but they will look after that dog the way our grandparents did and our parents did. Yeah. But apparently society, that's the danger of the Amish community. They have gone in and instilled their creed of animal rights onto a community that has, you know, dominion over animals and a very religious view of it, and that is dangerous.
I would happen to agree, and I'd also happen to say, Ian, I think you'd agree with me on this, the only people helping those fellas that got raided were the Ontario Landowners Association. This is a T-shirt that was given to me by Tom and Marlene Black when I was at Freedom Weekend. They are the folks behind the Ontario Landowners Association. It says, "This is our land, stop, back off government." You need to support organizations like this, and I've shown you the Landowner magazine before. Even if you don't live in the country, you need to support things like this. You're angry about Bill C-30? Join the landowners. Might not sound like it makes sense, but believe me, it does. They're sticking up for your rights. Ian, thanks for coming in once again.
Okay, thank you.